2002 brought us the release of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, and with that came a number of LEGO sets over the next few years. What's up LEGO fans, it's LEGO Man Cam, and today we're continuing on with the series and taking a look at some old school LEGO Star Wars sets. I'm going to be giving each set a score out of 10, and let's jump straight into it with the first set, which is the Jedi Duel. This was a $10 set that included Count Dooku and Yoda, with a small build for Dooku's speeder that he escapes through Geonosis on. For the speeder, although I'm not sure where they got that light blue colour from, it does look pretty sleek. There's also a small sort of arm and a handle build, which you can use to actually attach Yoda and have him spin around like crazy. The minifigures are where this set shines though. Both Dooku and Yoda look really great for around that time, and I love the chrome lightsabers on these, especially how they made a new mold for Dooku's curved hilt. That's just not something I'm sure they would do today. Overall, for just $10, which would be now about $17 with inflation, it's still a steal of a set with two iconic characters, so I'm going to be giving it a 9 out of 10. Also priced at $10, the next set was called the Tusken Raider Encounter, and this depicts probably one of the darkest scenes in Star Wars, where Anakin, well, I'll let him explain to you what he does.
I killed them all. They're dead.
The set includes a speeder bike for Anakin that he takes from the Lars homestead. It's a decent build with a dark red color scheme, it's just that those two bars would be super flimsy at the front. There's then a small signal tower as well, I'm assuming meant to represent one from the Lars homestead. Minifigure wise, this set actually comes with 3. You get Anakin in his Attack of the Clones outfit, and then 2 Tusken Raiders. Anakin looks pretty nice with a classic brown cape, and then that hairpiece they used to use for him very rarely came in that orange color. It's discontinued now, but I always did love that color. You then get 2 Tusken Raiders, which have a certain level of LEGO charm to them before they did create that much better looking mold a few years ago. Again, this is a great set, but at an inflated $17, it's still a great value, so I'm going to be giving it a 9 out of 10. The Twin Pod Cloud Car was another $10 set, this time replacing some of those extra minifigures for a more substantial build. I'm surprised LEGO made this set considering how it's certainly not one of the most iconic Star Wars ships ever, but it does perfectly pair with a set from the following year that we'll be looking at in the next video in the series. Anyway, this build is super blocky and just doesn't look very great to me. The ship is cool, don't get me wrong, and the red color scheme is very striking, but it's just not my favorite ship in the Star Wars universe. The Lobot figure looks great though, and at the time he was one of the only LEGO Star Wars minifigures to actually have a double-sided head print, having the mechanical side on the back of his head. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10, as I like it, but just not as much as those two previous $10 sets. Next up though is a set that I've always really wanted, and this is the Bounty Hunter Pursuit from the opening scene of Attack of the Clones. What makes this set special is that now 22 years later, we still haven't had a remake of this one, therefore making this the only ever set to include these 2 ships and 1 special minifigure too. Looking at the builds, for 2002, these are both pretty nice. Obi-Wan and Anakin's speeder uses a primarily yellow color scheme with some chrome elements for those side mirrors and then some detail for the front engines too. I especially love how there's room to fit both characters side by side, just like in the movie. The next ship though is named Zam Wesell's Koro Exodrive. I looked that one up before I did this video, and this thing always just really appealed to me as a kid. The different fusion of dark green and lime green paired with orange is a really unique color scheme, and I also love the shaping of it with those 2 fins at the front and then the larger pillar at the back. The windshield is the best part though, featuring an exclusive print to keep the color scheme spreading across. The Obi-Wan and Anakin minifigures are fine representations of the characters for 2002, but the best minifigure here is Zam Wesell, now valued at over $100. This is a more lavender looking shade of purple, which I just really love. The figure is also extra detailed with printing flowing from the torso through to the hips and the legs, and then again another double-sided face print showing her disguise and then her true alien form on the back. The Rock Raider's helmet was also a really great choice here, and that headpiece is super nostalgic. The set retailed at $30, therefore making it around $53 if it were to be sold today, which I still think is a pretty fair price as you're getting 2 ships and some really nice minifigs. This one is a 9 out of 10 as well. The Ewok Attack is up next, and this one gave us our first ever Ewoks, which don't look very good. They use this really massive piece to go over the torso, which I like to call a sandwich body piece. Personally, these Ewoks look more like chocolate than actual LEGO minifigures to me. You get one milk chocolate one and then white chocolate one as well. It's mainly just the lack of printing I think though that makes them look kind of unfinished, but they do have a certain level of charm, and I do remember these molds playing as them in the original LEGO Star Wars video game. Anyway, the actual set included an Ewok catapult, a flyer, and then a speeder bike with a scout and a stormtrooper Stormtrooper as well. The catapult build is pretty basic, but at least it actually works as a play feature. The flyer looks really great in my opinion, and it does have some nice printing on those wings, and I love how they used the fishing rod elements to create the correct shape for the wings and have them stay in place. The speeder bike looks fine, very similar to the one from a few years back, and then the Scout Trooper and Stormtrooper are worthy inclusions to fight off the Ewoks. For just $13, which today would be about $22, you actually get quite a lot of Lego here, so I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. There is then Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter from episode 2, and this one does not look great to me at all. It's just really flat. Modern renditions of the ship have a much better height and curvature level to them, whereas this one just looks like a massive dark red plate with some white on the top and then a cockpit. There's no room for R4 either, you just have to stick his head on top of the plate. For $20 too, this one was quite high, which would make it around $35 today with inflation for only 138 pieces. So this one is going to get a 5 out of 10. To pair with this set though is one that we have also not seen a remake of since 2002, which is absolutely crazy. Anyway, this is Jango Fett's Slave 1, a $50 set that included a glorious original Jango Fett minifigure as well as a young Boba. This set is a massive improvement on the previous Slave 1, and it has a really nice color scheme which perfectly matches what you see in episode 2. The stability of the wings may be a little bit questionable, but they do have the ability to turn, which is completely accurate. The set brand new in box is literally worth over $1,000 today, which is insane. But anyway, at the time, this one was $50 for just 369 pieces, meaning it would be about $88 if it had come out today, which would be kind of expensive. There are some larger pieces, which of course do inflate the price, so I'm in a bit of a dilemma. I really love this set and I want to give it a 10 out of 10, but that price was just really high, so I'm going to settle for 8 out of 10. Another set that is now literally worth $1,000 sealed in box is the original Republic gunship. This is the first ever iteration that we got of this iconic prequel ship, but it actually did a really good job for 2002 standard. The shaping on the build is really great, and despite only using 686 pieces, it captures the look really effectively. It comes with 4 regular Phase 1 clones, which is a nice amount to get, since no gunship since then has ever come with so many regular clones. There was also a Droideka build which actually looks pretty decent and is so much better than the one that we got this year. And then you then get 2 iconic metallic blue super battle droids, which even though these are obviously super brittle and easily were broken, they still look super cool. The gunmetal grey ones are obviously better and more accurate, but there is just something special to me about these blue ones. But of course, the most iconic minifigure, one of the most famous LEGO Star Wars figures of all time, is Jedi Bob himself. Now, if you didn't know, back in 2002, this figure was just called Jedi Knight on the box, as he was supposed to be one of those sort of unknown background Jedi that was fighting in the Geonosis arena. But fans quickly took a liking to him, and despite not actually having a name, we all collectively called him Jedi Bob. He became such a Star Wars legend that this year, 22 years after his release, he was brought back in the new Rebuild the Galaxy LEGO Star Wars special, which is going to be airing on Disney Plus, I think pretty shortly, where he also got his own set, Jedi Bob's Starfighter. Anyway, the figure makes this set even more special, and at a price of $90, which would have been closer to $160 today, the price isn't too terrible, even though it has a really low piece count, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The next setup is the buildable Yoda, which retailed for $100, one of the most expensive sets from this year. It actually looks quite similar to the 2019 one, still having a lot of visible studs on the exterior. Anyway, this set is not something I'm interested in at all, but I do appreciate the effort, and it does look kind of decent for the time period it was released in. I'm just going to give it a 5 out of 10. Now be prepared, because the next 4 sets are some of my favorite LEGO Star Wars sets of all time, and yes, they are very minifigure centric. Starting us off, we have the Final Duel 1. This set comes with Vader, Palpatine, and then a build for Palpatine's throne. That's it, for $7. Wow, what a deal. The set comes with Vader, Palpatine, and Palpatine's throne. That's it, and it was just $7. That is such a great deal. Both Vader and Palpatine look so good here, and at just $7, I don't think there's anything else you could have asked for. This is a 10 out of 10. There's then the Final Duel 2 to accompany this set, and for also $7, you get Luke Skywalker, an Imperial officer, and a Stormtrooper. There's then a small platform and a gate for them to walk through, and again, this one comes with 3 minifigures for just $7, which would be about $12 today. Still super good value, crazy for a LEGO Star Wars set. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 again. There were then 2 counterparts to these, being Jedi Defense 1 and and Jedi Defense 2. Starting with Jedi Defense 1, you get Obi-Wan in his Phantom Menace outfit and 2 really nice buildable droidekas. This set was once again $7, and I just wish they still made sets like this today. I understand why, as they now do tend to lock these highly desirable minifigures behind much bigger sets at larger price points, but back in the day it was so easy to get them. This is another 10 out of 10. The last one of these 4, Jedi Defense 2, continues on with the gloriness of these sets, and you get Qui-Gon, a security and then a regular battle droid, as well as a sliding door for Qui-Gon to slice through. For $7, these sets, all 4 of them, are just so amazing, so let's complete this quadrilogy and give this one also a 10 out of 10. These are by far the most 10 out of 10s I've ever given in a video. Just when you thought this year was guaranteed to be the best of all time, with all of those 10 out of 10s, LEGO decided to continue their line of awful Technic sets, creating a bunch more for the general public to buy. First was R2-D2, and for $20, this one just looks like crap. It's got all the massive holes in its head, and it just doesn't look fun to play with, nor does it look good to display. I honestly can't see very much good about this set just at all, so I'm going to be giving it a 2 out of 10. The next one is Darth Vader, and this one actually does look kind of okay, although it did retail for $40, which was pretty high. It featured a new molded helmet, as well as a massive cape, and actually a lot of detail in the chest section. Comparing this one to R2-D2 is insane, as they literally don't even look like they're made from the same toy. This still isn't my type of set, but it is a lot better than the R2-D2, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So we then go from Darth Vader, who looked pretty good, to Jango Fett. I don't quite know what on earth is going on with his helmet here. It looks like someone came along and just punched him right in the middle of his head. Anyway, this set looks super gappy, and the arms on him are really flimsy as well. It's not as bad as R2-D2, but it's still really bad, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. The Super Battle Droid continues on the blue color here, which makes it look even more inaccurate, as there are pieces in sand blue, dark blue, and regular blue all meshed together. Since it's a droid, it doesn't quite look as terrible as the others, but there is just really no attempt here to even make a recognizable face or a front section, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Thankfully, we're finished with those, and we'll move on to the last 2 sets from this year, which were firstly the UCS Naboo Starfighter. And yes, I didn't get that wrong, this is called a UCS set, despite it having so many less pieces than a lot of the minifigure scale ones from years later. This one actually looks so good for 2002 standard, and most of that comes from the use of all those chrome pieces at the front. Every other Naboo Starfighter we've ever gotten has just used grey, and the chrome here makes it one of the best Naboo Starfighters ever, maybe even the best, since that chrome is exactly what we see in the movies. The rest of the build is quite sleek, and it is such an improvement from the previous one. You just get R2-D2's head here, but it does look good enough that it doesn't really need any minifigures. This one was pricey at the time. Despite only having 187 pieces, it was $40 back in 2002, which today would be around $75. However, if you wanted to buy this set today, it sells for, sealed in box, a whopping $3,000, as it only had a shelf life of 3 months. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be getting this one anytime soon. Anyway, this is an amazing set. It was just really pricey, so I'm going to be giving it a 9 out of 10, since those chrome pieces are just so cool. The last set on this list is the original UCS Star Destroyer, a 3,096 piece set that retailed for $270. For 2002, this is one of the biggest LEGO Star Wars sets they'd made thus far, and it actually does look pretty incredible. Structurally, it was kind of a mess, but the overall design, shaping, and accuracy is spot on. As I've said in so many other videos, I'm not the biggest UCS fan, but I can acknowledge this amazing feat of design for such an early year in the theme, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, since if you look at $270 back in 2002, that would be about $500 today, which is quite a lot. So we've looked at 19 sets today, all of them being from 2002. If we add up our scores of each set, we get a total of 139, which when divided by 19 gets us 7.3. So this now puts the year in 6th place, which is actually quite good considering it was such an early year for LEGO Star Wars. You can see how so many of those 10 out of 10 $7 sets really helped us out, and then all those ugly Technic sets really destroyed its potential of being the best year. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.